Hello and welcome to this pattern recognition video for beginners. And if you're a higher rated player, you may still want to try these just to use the puzzles as a refresher to see beginner patterns. And also I'll be doing 10 puzzles today instead of the normal 5 because these should be easier and won't take as long. So let's begin here. You can pause at any time if you want to think more. But what do you do first? So in a game or when you're solving puzzles, where do you start? Well, first you want to see what your opponent just moved and what changed in the position. It looks like this knight just captured here, captured a piece or a pawn. I didn't see what it was. And if we look at the material, that's something you want to check as well. We have 5 pawns versus 5. A knight, or excuse me, bishop and bishop, rook and rook, queen. So we have a rook for 2 knights. But if we're looking for checks first, which is what you want to do before you decide on a move, always look at checks first as they're most forcing. And then you can look at captures and threats after that. But do we even have any checks? Now, the obvious move is that because this knight just moved, maybe you'll see that the queen is lined up here and can just capture that knight. So maybe that's the best move right there. And once you capture that, you'll be ahead in material. A rook for a knight. So that looks to be the best move. We go ahead and capture. And they don't even want anything else. Now, these problems will be rated 100 to 750. I've been slowly bumping up the rating on these beginner puzzles from 100 to maybe I started 100 to 500. Now this is 100 to 750, and I try and bump them up by 50 points every day. All right, moving on to the next problem. We have a pawn pushing forward. All right, so black is working on pushing this pawn, trying to get it promoted. But what do we have? And we're behind in material. We're down a rook. We're down, what? Quite a few pawns, 4 pawns. So we need to do something immediately. Look at checks first. Hopefully you found the answer. The only checks are here, but the queen would just be captured. And hopefully you saw the other check, which would be queen captures here. But if you're deciding whether to check or not, make sure you have a good follow-up. Now, if you were thinking, should we capture this unprotected rook? Well, we would still be behind by 4 pawns even after that. So we need to do something more forcing. We need to go here, capture this. That'll force the king into the corner. And then we have a great little back rank mate pattern where you can sacrifice your queen. The rook will capture, and then the other rook delivers a back rank mate. So here we go. All right, well, hopefully you found that one. It was rated 530. Let's move on to the next one so that we can get 10 of these in for the day. All right, material-wise, we have 2 pawns and a rook. Our opponent has 4 pawns and 2 rooks, so we're really in trouble here. Or are we? So hopefully you found the winning move. Take a look at this, and if you looked at checks first, that will give you the answer. So rook here to c1, delivering a back rank mate because the king is preventing the escape here. All right, on to the next puzzle. Okay, a knight has just jumped forward, targeting our pawn. And what else? That looks to be about it. There's a discovered attack also now on this unprotected pawn here by the bishop. Okay, let's count up our material. We have 6 pawns. Our opponent has the same number. We have 3 minor pieces and a rook, so do they. So material's all even. All right. Well, we want to look at checks first. Do we even have any checks? No, no checks available. So now we want to look at captures. Are there any unprotected pieces? Well, yes, and hopefully you saw this and it'll give you the answer. When you're looking for captures, definitely check to see if there's something you can just capture immediately, especially if you can capture it for free. But if you can't capture something immediately, you can look for tactics where there are unprotected pieces. And here we have 2 unprotected rooks. And so it looks like we could move our, or did I say rooks? 2 unprotected bishops. And then we can move our rook up here, forking both of these. So it looks like that will work. Let's attack. We can capture. And that's what they wanted. Now we're just ahead in material here. Okay, on to problem number 5. A knight has just jumped forward. What is that knight doing? Always ask yourself, what changed in the position after my opponent's move? What are they trying to do? Well, the queen is under attack. There's also the threat of taking this pawn and attacking the trapped rook. But it's our turn. Hopefully you found the answer if you looked at checks first. What checks do we have? Well, our queen is heading along this line, but we don't want to capture the bishop or we'll just be recaptured. So hopefully you found that this weak f7 square will deliver a mate. So always, especially in the opening, look at the f2 and f7 squares, because in the beginning, in the opening, the only thing that's protecting that square is the king, and you might be able to take advantage of that like we did here. All right, we're halfway done. On to problem 6. Okay, a knight was just captured. Our queen is under attack. And we can't take that rook because their queen is protecting it. So, hopefully you found the answer here. Now, first thing we want to do, we could count up the material just to see what is happening in the position. But if we skip that and look at checks first, hopefully you found the answer here. And also, whenever the king is on the back rank and he has the pawns blocking him in like this, see if there's a way to take advantage of that, and hopefully you'll find the answer. So what checks do we have if we're looking at checks first? Well, rook checks on the back rank, and the knight or the rook could block, but then we can go ahead and capture that. And then when one of them captures, let's see if this works. If we go here, they block. We go ahead, capture with either piece, and then once they recapture, the other piece will go ahead and take. So check. And now, well, because the rook didn't block, now we have to capture with our rook. And then the queen delivers mate on the back rank. So great little pattern there for back rank mate. All right, on to problem 7. King has just captured a pawn. So now we are down by 1 pawn. We're blocking here, but Well, this pawn can't be captured because our rook is protecting it. But we can ignore all that because if you look at checks first when you're trying to figure out what move to make, hopefully you will find this rook check, which delivers, instead of a back rank mate, it's kind of like a side rank or side file mate, because the king is preventing the opponent's king from running. So mate on the edge of the board. Okay, on to problem number 8. What do we have here? 3 pawns versus 6, and we have a queen, though, versus a rook and a bishop. Okay. What do we want to do here? Well, our opponent just pushed a pawn. So, they want to get these pawns down the board and try and promote. We probably want to target those. But if we're looking at checks first, what do we have? Well, when you're looking at checks, you don't want to check just because you can, of course. You want to make sure you have a good follow-up. Now, we can't go here or the rook would just capture us. But we can go here or here and deliver a check. Which one of these is better? Well, hopefully you found the answer. We could go here, delivering a check, and also forking the king and this pawn. Then we can pick that pawn off. And, if we do that, if we go check, king would be forced to move here. If we pick this off, we're targeting the other pawn. Of course, they could protect that with the bishop. Then what? Do we even have a follow-up? Or maybe that's all they want. And also, we should check and see if we have anything better. Because whenever you have unprotected pieces, like this rook and bishop, you should check to see if there's a better move than just automatically checking here. So maybe instead we could fork these pieces. So, this is a possibility. Attacking both unprotected pieces. But does that work? Well, maybe not, because the bishop could move here, protected by the pawn and protecting the rook here. So, it doesn't look like that works. What else do we have? I don't know. I'm thinking we should go after this pawn, but let's see. Nope, they don't want that. Okay. Now we saw that this move didn't really work. Do they want that? No. Okay. So maybe there's something even better here. Let's check it out. Oh, we have to watch out also for a possible mate threat. If our opponent could go here and here, it would deliver a mate. So maybe we have to handle that. By giving our king an escape hatch. For a beginner problem, I didn't think this one would have complications like this. So, maybe they want us to move here. Nope. What about this one? Nope. Okay. This is really strange. I wouldn't think that there is... what am I missing here? Hopefully you're finding the answer. Hmm. What what are we even what is being missed here? Okay, they don't want that. I'm sorry about this. Oh, great. Did I just skip the puzzle? Hold on. Oh my gosh. Okay. Here, we're back to this puzzle. So, did I skip it somehow? Ah, sorry about that. Okay. So we're back to this puzzle, but I don't see what is being missed here. All right, the hint, is there a hint? I didn't even see a hint here. It's supposed to light, I mean, I guess they want the queen to move. They don't want us to go there. This is getting ridiculous. We don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. All right, what is the answer? I thought I already played that. Oh my gosh. Why was. Okay, sorry. I thought I already made that move and it said no, but I guess I was mistaken. So now we can go here and check and take the rook. I apologize for that. That was supposed to be an easy problem. All of these were supposed to be easy. And I don't know, maybe that's a weakness. These long, because I had some trouble with long forking moves like that before. Okay, let me get out of this and we're back to. This was the next problem, 7, I think. Okay, what even happened here? I didn't even see who moved in this position. The piece that just moved is supposed to be highlighted. Great. Okay, obviously white must have just pushed this pawn here, forking the king. So the king has to move, but where? Huh. All right. Well, that's terrible. If we have to move, um, we can't go here. We'll be mated by the rook. Or no, we could block. But if we do that, they'll just take and renew the mate. So we probably, if we go here, they could capture. And then we could attack them. So maybe something like that. All right, what just happened here? I didn't make that move. It automatically just did that by itself. Huh. Okay, maybe we have the white pieces, and then of course you want to go right here. All right, I don't know. I apologize for that. That was just strange. That whatever happened, I somehow accidentally clicked away. Okay, we just did 1, 2, 3. Let's see, what is that? 7, 8, 9 problems. Okay, here's the final problem. Uh, okay, the king was just in check. Now, I don't know why they didn't just capture the queen there. That didn't make sense. I guess these are beginner games. The chess.com must find these in beginner games played. All right, so hopefully you found the final answer here. We're going to go ahead and, well, we can't do that. We can't capture here or the rook will grab us. So we have an even easier move. You know, you want to look for all the checks. We can't go there, can't go there. The king will get us. but we can go here with the queen. So there we go, delivering a mate. All right, yeah, I apologize for that mess up and that problem. I guess that one had me frustrated. So, if you have a similar puzzle where you're having trouble with that one, that might be a clue that that's a weakness in your tactical area, an area of your tactics that is weaker. So obviously, most of these problems should be pretty easy, but I just, must have overlooked that little long forking maneuver by the queen. All right. Well, feel free to leave comments, like, and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and have a super chess day.